It is a new month, so we have new numbers and a new Calgary Market update for you. We're going to take a look over everything that's been going on in Calgary over the past month, give you a picture where we've been and where we're headed for the rest of the year. So without further ado, let's jump into it. So if you've been reading the news at all over the last couple months, there has been a lot of stories coming out that the market is slowing, not just in Calgary, but across Canada and North America in general. Now, there's been a lot of stuff happening recently, interest rate hikes, which is slowing it down a little bit, but also it is entering into summer, so people are going on vacation, they're going on trips, and they just don't want to be selling their place or looking to buy a place right now. They're just enjoying their summer while they can. So we haven't seen too much of the seasonality in the past. This is mainly due to the fact that it's been such a crazy market with interest rates being so low and people were just buying. So we haven't seen it too much in 2020 or 2021. However, in 2018, 2019, we did see these bigger dips happen over the summertime. So the first thing that I want to take a look at here is the inventory versus the sales, just to kind of take a look at our supply versus demand. This is what's been driving sales the entire year so far. So let's take a look at this chart here. You can see in green, we got the inventory, and in sales, we have the red. So after March, where we peaked, it's been a gradual decline in sales for the rest of the year. In June, it was our first month that we had lower sales than the previous year, and also July, and we are now second month in a row that we'll have lower sales than we did in 2021 in the same months. However, because of the dramatic sales increase at the beginning of the year, we are still way up on where we were last year, and we're still setting pretty close records. As you can see, 2,254 sales in the month of July this year. It's only a 2.5% decrease versus last year. So it's not like it's a massive drop off. It's just slowed down a little bit. And when you look at the actual interest rates compared to where they were last year, it is a big difference as well. So as you can see, January, February, March, inventory was very tight. That's what drove up the prices across the market. Now, as we head into April, May, June, and July, and then for the rest of the year, you can see that it gets bigger and bigger and the gap has grown. So last month, we are at 5,338 listings. That's a decrease of 1.2% versus last month. So this is the first time we've actually seen inventory come down so far this year. But like I said, most of it has to do with it being in the summer. People are taking time off. It's slowing down and not as many people are looking for places and not as many people want to list their home right now. As I was saying about the interest rate, we can take a look here and see what the interest rate has done in relation to the sales. So you can see January, February, March, when the Bank of Canada overnight rate was at 0.5%, our sales were increasing and climbing. This is mainly due to the fact that it was so low. Interest rates were so low, money was so cheap to borrow, people were getting in there really quickly, and that is why you see that massive line up for the sales, and then inventory was sticking it pretty tight, and that's what drove up the price. So then we move on. April, May, 1%, you can start to see it goes down. Normally, these are quieter months anyway. However, it also doesn't help that they have raised the interest rate. Then in June, 1.5, and then into July, 2.5%. So you can see that as the interest rate has increased, the sales activity has decreased. However, at the same time, even if the interest rate had stayed the same, we would still have seen the sales activity decrease regardless, just because of the seasonality of real estate. Now, interestingly enough, when we look at the actual sales categories, we break down what has sold. Detached homes were down 19.38% compared to last year. So there was almost 20% less detached homes being sold. However, apartments are up 48.7%, which is a massive jump over last year. So this is due mostly to the actual affordability. Now detached homes are worth, their average price is around $643,000. Meanwhile, apartments $278,000. So it's a big difference in price there and affordability. So that's one reason that this is probably happening. As we've seen detached homes go up this year on average around $100,000, just as one round number. And apartments have not increased at that same amount. So they're still much more affordable to get into an apartment or even a townhome than it is to get into a detached home by quite a big margin. So another interesting fact that is happening now within the detached market, I won't go too in depth, but listings under 500,000 are down 18% year over year, while listings over 500,000 are up about 20%. Now, one of these reasons is because those same houses that were, say, 480,000 are now more than 500, and they're more at the $550,000 mark. So that is one reason. That's simply just the homes that were in that $500,000 bracket and below last year are now above. However, what we're starting to see now is because people still want to get these homes under 500,000, the inventory in the under 500,000 prices is a lot smaller and a lot lower. So that's a lot tighter of a market if you're looking for homes under 500,000, while homes above 500,000 are getting more and more inventory. Therefore, it's turning into a more balanced market in that sector. So even within the detached, anything under 500,000 is going to be a little bit tighter. It's going to sell quicker. It's going to sell closer to list price. Meanwhile, there's so many more houses that are above 500,000. So the market is not quite as tight. It's a little bit easier. There's more out there. They're not selling as quick or as close to list price. So just something to keep in mind if you are looking for a house that's under 500,000, it's going to be a little bit harder, a little bit tighter for you. And if you're looking for something over 500,000, then you're going to have a little bit more time and a little more options. Now I want to take a look at the benchmark price across Calgary, and we can see the comparison from this year versus last year. So the orange line is 2022 and the blue line 2021, but you can see in 2021 in July, our benchmark price was $480,700. Meanwhile, we've had a 12.34% increase versus last year, and now Calgary's benchmark sales price is $540,000. So it's a big jump. That's about $60,000 difference in the benchmark price, and this just includes everything from apartments, townhomes, detached, semi-detached, everything. So you can see it's been quite a big growth in Calgary. 12% is massive. However, you can see that it has now balanced out. In January, February, you can see it rose a little bit more quickly. And now since April, we've stayed right around the same. So just something to keep in mind. Although it is slowing down, the prices are staying relatively steady and they are still way up on where they were last year. Now, lots of people have been asking us, will the prices in Calgary go down anytime soon? Will they return to the 2021 levels? Unfortunately, I don't think so. If you've been looking at the news from Vancouver, Toronto, they're heading for a little bit more steep price declines because the market just ramped up so crazy there. However, because Calgary and Alberta in general are a little bit more affordable, considerably more affordable, that we do not expect that the prices will decline because there are lots of people coming from out of province. We're dealing with a lot of people moving from BC or Ontario just simply because it's so much more affordable to live in Alberta. What you can get for $500,000-$600,000 here would cost you 1.2 in those provinces. So that is it for our market update. I don't want to go too in depth with everything, but there is a link to download the full Calgary market report below. Take a read through it. It's got all the stats, breaks down apartments, townhomes, detached, semi-detached, everything like that. So free download below. So if you do have any questions in particular about the Calgary housing market, feel free, drop a comment below or send us an email. We'd be happy to get back to you and answer any of your questions. And if you are looking at buying or selling in Calgary, feel free, click that work with us button. We'd love to get together, have a conversation about how we can assist you in your real estate goals. So until next time, I'm Nathaniel Terryberry. See you then.